This week on the Nerd Confessions podcast, we're talking about the toys that made us. I have one main concern after just watching the toys that made us, and that is, what the hell is that? It looks like
That's so goddamn creepy.
Let me tell you what that is. It's her previous skin that she shedded because she is probably like 80 years old.
All right, guys, so let's talk about the toys that made us. So what is The Toys That Made Us? The Toys That Made Us is a documentary about the story behind the conceptual stage all the way to the modern impact that the iconic toys of our childhood had. It's a 8-episode series and was created by Brian Volk-Weiss.
Ooh, I don't know who that is.
Well, I'll tell you who that is in a
Okay,
little bit.
thank you.
There are currently only 4 episodes available, which released on December 27, 2017. Episode 1 is Star Wars. So the beginning of the origins of the Star Wars toys. Episode 2 is Barbie, how Barbie started and how it's modernized now. Episode 3 is He-Man.
I like me He-Man.
Episode 4 is G.I. Joe.
Which are all like iconic toys to people that were born in the early 60s.
A lot of these episodes are like before my time, but
Yeah.
like I know the later end half of it.
I bet one of them is going to be Batman.
I know for
no.
a fact one is going to be Transformers for sure.
Yeah, so I'll go with that right now. The rest of the episodes of the series will be that they will be covering, and the other 4 episodes are Lego.
Ooh,
Of course.
Play-Doh?
Got to do.
Lego, the little blocks. Transformers.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh.
Hello Kitty, Ellie.
Oh,
Hello
Sam
Kitty.
Raimi.
They're going to be
It's
telling
interesting
Hello
'cause
Kitty.
How
When did
cute.
that start?
What?
I don't
Sam
know.
Raimi.
But it blew up.
I'm excited to find
Yeah.
out the details.
Hello Kitty's
And-
in the 60s.
And I'm excited for this one because I had a lot of Star Trek toys too. Star Trek.
So those are all big ones.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the sad thing is that they're not all anything of. They're kind of intergenerational. So
Yeah.
you
But
can't.
like,
Where's Batman?
Batman was not a big toy.
I did have a lot of Batman toys, but
I did.
Batman was like it was just based off a TV show, so that's not what they're talking about. Some of these are based off of like, this is a toy that became TV shows itself. Like, it was a toy at start.
That really changed the industry.
yeah, these are all toys that were like hugely impactful. I don't think Batman was ever hugely impactful.
Yeah, the show was very impactful.
The show was
That's
impactful.
it. So
Yeah.
we're not talking about those.
Yeah. So Brian stated that they struggled getting the first 4 episodes out in time for the holidays because December 27th, still pretty late for trying to make it before holidays.
Right.
And he has 2 episodes left to edit, and he stated this in an interview with Polygon. He also stated that the Transformers episode, he's going to have Michael Bay in the lineup for interviews, which is interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
He had Dolph Lundgren in this.
Yeah,
so Michael Bay's
It
not
was
that much-
very briefly, but yeah.
but he was in it. I mean,
Yeah,
he
that's cool.
cut out a lot of it.
Did he
but-
play He-Man?
Yeah, he played He-Man. He's like
In the He-Man movie, yeah.
one of my favorite lines from this movie is like, they didn't have to paint lines on my muscles. I had muscles.
Yeah, that's all I remember that he said.
He also said one more thing. He's like, what are you guys talking about? It was some weird. He just comments. They were really good.
All right, so there's not really much. It's not a huge thing, so there's not much on the development of this. But let's talk a little bit about Brian Volk-Weiss. So as the development, he's the creator of the series and president of Comedy Dynamics is his main company. At the company, he is running its production, development, management, distribution rights. Dynamics is currently the largest producer and distributor for 1-hour comedy specials in the United States, and they feature comedians such as Kevin Hart, Aziz Ansari, who's recently exposed as a diddler.
Oh, careful.
Really?
Yeah,
He wasn't really a diddler.
and
but
he is a feminist too, which is interesting.
Odd.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to go into that. Jim Gaffigan, Cat Williams, and Louis C.K.
Another diddler.
Are some of the another diddler are some of the people that he's been featured on. Well, the majority, like it said, majority of the comedians on the 1-hour specials, it goes through this company. Majority of them.
And they become diddlers after.
Well, you get big enough,
Be
you
careful.
eventually are tempted to diddle somebody. So the Toys That Made Us was directed by Tom Stern, who
Another diddler.
in his early career directed shows with Jimmy Kimmel, such as The Man Show and Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Oh,
those
nice.
are good shows.
Yeah,
Man
so
Show is
apparently
great.
has that connection to Jimmy Kimmel. He also was the director and writer for Saul the Mole Man, which aired on Adult Swim. I don't know if any of you remember that.
I remember the show.
I remember it. It was like one of the first live action shows to be on Adult Swim. I remember when I was a kid.
Yeah, it was really weird.
It was really weird, and
anything that was live action on Adult Swim is freaking weird. Like it is like above and beyond completely bonkers. Like you have to take hard drugs to even get like what's going on those things.
Yeah. Most recently, he directed Two Broke Girls. Ton Stern also worked on with Brian Volk-Weiss on Stevie TV. I never even heard that. I don't know. It's on VH1 supposedly.
Oh, that show is canceled. I know that channel. It's a YouTube
it was
star.
like 2 years.
Yeah,
and then
YouTube
canceled.
star that got basically a TV show, and it canceled, and she killed herself or something.
Something like
Two
that.
Broke Girls
Kill
also
herself,
got
or
canceled.
she did something to herself. I forget what it was. Let me check it out.
Yeah, so Brian and not Jimmy. Tom Stern know each other through that show, Stevie TV. Apparently, he was the director of that show, and he was chosen for Toys That Made Us because of that, I'm guessing. The narrator of the documentary is Donald Ian Black, who is the writer-actor for Goodbye Nina. I never heard of that. 2017, that's the most recent work.
So Stevie, from Stevie TV, killed herself
Oh,
after the show was canceled. So
wow.
that's what happens when you go from super fame to
That sucks.
Nothing.
We got 2 seasons, though. At least we got renewed for 1. And Ruins in 2013. That's what Donald Ian Black, the narrator of the show, did. And never heard of him or any of those things. Have you guys heard of those?
Nope.
Unknown. So how was this documentary received? On IMDb, Toys That Made Us is currently rated at 8.1 out of 10 out of 838 user reviews. So that's pretty
And those are
favorable.
all collectors.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
Probably.
Those are the people who bought the toys.
All right, so let's go over our overall thoughts of each episode so far. Episode 1, Star Wars. Let me go over a little quick summary of Episode 1. In 1977, after being rejected by Mattel and Hasbro, Lucasfilm signed with Kenner Products to have toys produced for their film Star Wars. This was a huge gamble, as Kenner was a small toy company at the time, and negotiation process started late due to George Lucas's secrecy over the ship designs. Since then, toy sales of the Star Wars franchise have totaled over to $14 billion worldwide. So it was a big gamble for them, and it paid off for Kenner. Now they got big because of that.
Or they were big.
What did they make?
Or they
now?
were big at the
They
time.
were big, and now they're
Now they're not
Hasbro.
very much now.
Didn't they get bought out?
Bought it by Hasbro.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Hasbro bought out everybody.
That's pretty big. I mean, you get sold.
So-
you get sold to Hasbro.
So the really funny thing about that whole episode is that Kenner started the toy process with them, and ended up making a great deal, which was every dollar sold gave 95 cents to Kenner and 5 cents to George Lucas and Fox. So it was 2.5 cents for Fox, 2.5 cents for Lucas.
George Lucas's secrecy did not pay off well for him because
And the
at
reason
the end they were the only one that was had the stuff in the works, so they were able to push him and get the best deal off him.
No,
So,
the reason it is because everyone else dropped him.
No, it's because nobody wanted to do the project.
Yeah.
Well, Will
but
saying
then,
is
but
the
by
reason
the
why-
time they had the product like being able to come out,
Yeah.
like he could have maybe changed it, but it'd been like another 2 years
right
to get it out.
So what happened was they went. He's like,
But no one was
I'm
ready.
not going to give you any information unless you sign up to make my toys. So everyone's like, screw you. I'm not going to make toys. With
By the time
no
they got the
idea.
toys out, it was a year after the movie had already come out.
Right, and they had,
well, that was because of the short timeline. too.
Yeah,
Even
Back then,
Kenner
you
couldn't
back
even
then
pull
you
that
need more
out.
time because they have to get it.
Yeah,
approved.
it's like 2 years
Yeah.
at least.
yeah. So what happened is
Right.
they had a guy that Lucas hired to go to all the toy companies and say, would you like to make toys for my movie? And they didn't give any information. It's just gonna be it's gonna be a space epic. And I was like, I don't know if it's gonna do well. I don't want to gamble on it because in the toy industry, a gamble like that means a line. You have to make a whole line. So basically, it caused them a lot of problems, and that's why Kenner won, because Kenner's like, guess what? We'll make them, but we have to make 95 cents on the dollar, and you make 5
Right.
cents, or you pay us $10,000 a year. So if you don't make $10,000, if we don't make $10,000, you pay us $10,000 a year.
Well, Kenner had to pay. No matter what, they had to do at least $10,000
Yeah,
in toys.
or we give them a $10,000 check.
Right.
No, that was afterwards.
No, that was always
no,
the
no,
deal.
that was always the deal.
Not in the beginning.
No, they
No, it
had
was
to
always the
sell
deal.
at least $10,000 worth of.
Always $10,000 worth of product or a
Yeah.
$10,000 check. And they said either or, so it doesn't matter. You make $10,000.
No,
worth of
that was
product.
after. I watched this 2 hours ago.
Okay, Tommy. I watched it. And I watched it.
2 hours ago.
I watched this episode 30 minutes before I left my house.
No, you didn't. You
Yes, I
lied.
did.
You
because
lie. You lie.
I can show you.
You lie.
Yes, I did.
You lied. I don't believe
sure
you.
is the original 10,000.
So each episode, they start off the episode with kind of the most significant to the people that are telling the story moment in time, and they just do a little reenactment. So the Star Wars one opened up with one of them visiting
One of the
Lucasfilm.
Kenner's guys.
One of the Kenner's guys visiting Lucasfilm to see like the ships that they're going to be reproducing close up.
And he turned
In
right
the thing.
he saw the Millennium Falcon.
And he saw the Millennium Falcon. And
He's sold.
yeah, so he knew it was going to be successful at that point. And it's every episode starts out with something like that. What makes these interesting for me is the stories we get, like the guy that cut his sock to get the Jawa cloak.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
That was
forget
fun
his
story.
name.
So
Okami,
yeah.
I think his name was
Lucas-san?
something, but he basically said, I basically took something and I burnt he basically called it kit bashed it.
Yeah, they're talking about how they built prototypes.
So
So
they-
he was such a crunch. He had to cut his sock to get the correct texture for a Jawa cloak.
But the funny part about that is the reason why the cloak was so over it. He said that he kit bashed it so badly that he didn't want George Lucas to get too close because
Smell his feet.
smell his feet, and to see what was inside the kit bash.
Right.
And because they're making these models for George Lucas, the cool thing about it was they made it from Fisher Price truck dolls. So they
Right.
Because
cut
they're
up,
about the same size.
yeah. So they were just
They're going for like a certain size.
yeah, and that was pretty cool. And I didn't know that toy developers made it like that. I didn't know they took
I
other
didn't
people's
either.
toys and
They
say,
don't
you know what, I'm gonna-
Copy.
no, not copy, but like take their toy and then cut them up and put things on top of it to make it look
Just for a prototype.
For a
I
prototype.
mean, yeah, the prototype that's the cheapest way to do it, right?
Right.
If somebody's already made it,
Yeah.
I assumed
Or
they
you make
just
it
went
for
and said,
yourself.
all right, we're gonna take this thing and we're gonna make a mold for it, and then
Like
we're gonna
make
make
it
a
out
mold.
of clay
Yeah,
or something.
like that.
Like that.
And I was like,
Better than
no, that's
starting-
not it.
yeah.
But the Star Wars one was really cool, but they never ever talked about how they talked a little bit of how Kenner dies.
Yeah.
But they never explained the reasoning why Kenner
They got
died.
a little more vague at the end there than I would have liked, because
Right.
it was like I had one of the, like, this figure I have here is from the Jedi something line, Force Jedi or something like that line, which is one of the Kenner's later lines before they got bought out by Hasbro. This is before the deal with the prequels came out, when Kenner lost everything. And then
Right.
I think it was 1997. Kenner had a micro line that failed, but then they had a
yeah.
but Micro Machines, when there were renegotiations around 1997, was able to get the rights to it as well as Hasbro, and Micro Machines is bought out by Hasbro now. So I have some of the Micro Machines too. That's like, but those are the later ones. Those are the ones I remember. I don't remember any of the things that are really early. How about you guys?
My first remembering of Star Wars toys were the ones that said like the Jedi edition and the Jedi Saga and all the ones that kept remaking. That's all I remember of Star Wars toys. I was a kid that was brought up on the Phantom Menace, not because I watched the originals first, then Phantom Menace came out, and that's the toys I saw. So I'm sorry, I don't know.
I like the Micro Machines though, because you get like these little figures. Like you can actually put them in the little sets, and they're actually affordable.
What is that?
Like this is that Lips lady that sings at Jabba's
Oh,
mouth.
no, that's a remaking one.
It's not a remake. It's not special edition. She originally sings a different song.
Oh, okay.
They just remade her CG. So she was originally a puppet.
Is she like sucking
And they
on
got
the mic on here? or
Trooper on a
what?
thing.
That
Y-
mic is
yeah.
like in her mouth.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like connected.
Here, Tommy, you can have that. Looks like you.
Excuse me?
And then like some other Micro Machine examples would be like the TIE Fighter I have over there behind Tommy's head. That's some Micro Machines. I really love the Micro Machines because they
so
had
little.
like,
How long have you
These
had
are more
this?
like models, right?
for how long I've had that? Since like the mid to early 90s. Something like that.
Where do you keep this?
I don't remember.
In his butt.
How did you
drawer.
find it?
It was in my closet in a corner.
So Kenner basically
Compared to the dolls of now, it's kind of crazy.
Well, I was just recently at Target, and I was curious. And I went
What
through
is
the toy. I went to the toy aisle for Star Wars, and they're all Hasbro figures now. And Hasbro has them slightly smaller than this now.
Interesting.
So when Hasbro took over, this is what they did. They made, when I remember their toys, it said the Power of the Force. Then they went with like
Power of the Force was Kenner.
Power of the Jedi. And that was
Power of the Force and Power of the Jedi. Were those?
Those
Kenner?
are Hasbro. That was Hasbro's first editions.
Oh, okay.
Then they made Power of the Jedi, which was in 2000, 2002. Then they made the Star Wars Saga dolls. It's the same dolls, man. They're just changing names.
Yeah.
And then they did Star Wars Trilogy Collection from 2004. Then the Revenge of the Siths Collection. Then the Saga Collection. They just changed the names of the boxes. Why is this backwards?
Well, something that I thought that was interesting when talking about development is they, as part of making up the line, this is the kind of stuff you don't hear unless they're interviewing somebody in the production line, is that they have to imagine what's off camera so they can get like more stuff to build for. So like this stormtrooper, if you look on his back, he has a giant hole. That's for this big, huge like claw that he's supposed to have. I don't know what the claw. What happened to the claw?
Yeah.
It's this giant claw, and the other arm holds this giant gun.
Well,
So-
they had profit margins, right?
Yeah, so
You
like all these
expand
other
the line and-
vehicles and weapons
Yeah.
and stuff that, and they always have to imagine it's in this universe, but just off camera.
The latest addition to the Hasbro toys, you probably have seen them in stores. They're called the Star Wars Black Series. That's their
Oh, yeah.
latest ones.
It
It's
looks
from
very
2013 to today. And I'm just being serious. This is hilarious because everything says Saga Continues, Legacy Collection, Saga Legends. They just changed the name and repackaged it. They talk about it in this episode. You saw that.
Yeah.
There's like 50 different ways to make a Chewbacca.
Yeah,
he said.
I was talking to Justin about it. It's just milking people. That's all it is.
Well, that's
Milking the collectors.
because they're paying a handsome royalty off of these to Disney, and now to Disney, but was to George Lucas at the time.
Yeah. Well, what I thought they covered
was
in Star Wars that was entertaining is the reception of everybody was fighting because of the negotiations in 1997 over the prequels.
Yeah.
And once the prequels came out and they saw Jar Jar, like, oh my God, we didn't know anything about Jar Jar. We made all this Jar Jar crap. Now nobody wants to buy it.
And then that
Went
one,
to the bins.
yeah, the one guy was talking about I made more Jar Jar toys than I wish I had in my life.
Yeah.
The bins. You're right.
Yeah.
And they ended up in the
bins.
bins. They talked about how the bins are the last place you want to go in toy stores.
But the cool thing is there was some fake ones being made, and one of them were Turkish ones, and they were called.
they were hilarious.
They're basically called Uzay, which means Uzay means far away. That's basically what it means. It's far away or far distance.
You're talking about the fake ones.
ones.
the knockoffs.
The
yeah.
knockoffs
Wars.
and the Star Wars. That's a Chinese one, but the Turkish one, the blue helmet, blue stars. A guy with a blue helmet and a sword and a shield, and they're like, "Why is he there?" And then the guy on the Death Star that had a calculator in front of him. That was what his image was. Is him in front of a calculator
Yeah,
instead of
he was
control.
that was hilarious.
That's
yeah.
because it was made in Turkey, and they're like, I don't know, just make it.
Put a calculator there. That's his console.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
So anything else you want to cover on Star Wars before we move on to the next episode?
Well, I thought the most fascinating part about that is when they first released it, they were selling pieces of cardboard.
Yeah,
Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Yes.
people
This
bought
is
up that cardboard.
Because it wasn't going to be ready until like a year later.
Yeah.
So at the holiday season, they said, "Here, buy this cardboard, and you'll get the toys later." Just
And
don't
that
worry
was
about
on. And that was on
April.
the head of Canada's.
It's designer.
Yeah,
The
the
CEO.
head, the CEO. He just kind of
Yeah.
gambled
That
on
guy's
it.
that guy's
He's
pretty
like, "Oh,
that
let's
was
sell
ballsy.
cardboard."
Basically, he
Yeah.
said, "Well, that's what he said. Let's sell these so we
Basically
can make some
sold an
money so we can
IOU.
make the toys."
Right.
This is like a modern day
yeah.
Kickstarter.
And then when he did, and then he's like, the guy's the same guy that said, "You know what? Make the dolls this big." That's the same guy, and it's like 3 1/3 inches.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you? This guy just made some random choices, and shit is just going good.
That's why they died later, probably.
You got like-
I thought that episode was really good. I know that editing is kind of weird because if you watch some of the editing on this,
Well, they
It's
had a
not-
lot to cover, so I can understand why they got vague towards the end. But
right? No, but I meant like if you have you watched the parts where they have green screen and stuff in this, and it looks really terrible. But I'm not expecting high quality stuff. I thought it was great for what it is.
Yeah.
me personally.
Right.
All right, go ahead.
I'm sure
Will.
part of it was the rush for holiday season too. So episode 2, they cover Barbie. So in the toy industry, was dominated by male demographic. Mattel co-founder Ruth Handler broke new ground in 1959 when she took the concept based on the German build Lily doll, who was a very promiscuous character and slept with everybody, apparently.
yeah.
In her story, based in like Germany.
Her story was really interesting. Her story was to help build up the German man to be more forward with the German woman that he wanted to have sex with her. But instead of saying, "I want to bang you," he said, "I have this doll for you." And then she would say, "Oh, I know what you want." So that's what it was for. It was kind of like Flowers, but instead of flowers, it was like the next step. Instead of "I like you,"
That's interesting,
is,
though, like
I
a
would like
doll.
to
So
bang.
it's like when you go and you're just like, "Hey, I got some condoms. You want to go back?"
Yeah,
to my
so that's
place?"
kind of. But wait,
right.
don't say that. That's nasty.
What? You
people
just
do.
implied the same
All right,
thing
well,
about a doll.
they took the design of this doll, which actually looked like the eyes were really creepy. They took the design of that doll and turned it into Barbie.
Yep.
The toy line has since become the largest selling doll and one of the most influential toys in modern history, selling over 1 billion dolls globally.
Yeah, I never had a Barbie myself. I know my mom had one. I ended up getting it from her to play with. I basically destroyed it.
Yeah,
But
same.
she like gave it to me, and I was like,
I had
what am
two
gonna do with
sisters,
this?
so I ended up with
Right.
used Barbies and I tore their heads off and burned them on stoves too and stuff like that.
I have two sisters,
like-
but they're younger, and I would just catch them car washing all the heads. It was really weird. They would like rip the heads off for some reason, and so you go in the room like there's body pieces everywhere, but the heads are gone. And you're like, where the hell is the head? And you turn and you go to the bathroom, and there's just like 30 Barbie heads being dipped in a tray of just soapy
30?
water. And yeah, they had a crap load. And you're just like, holy shit, like water spilling everywhere. And they're like, look, we've dyed their hair. And like they took markers and like rubbed it in the hair. And they're like, oh God.
Wow.
So that was
I was too poor
there's-
to have any Barbies.
So I did
still
like
are.
I remember what I did. I just basically made them karate fight. The Barbie would karate fight like a
story.
GI Joe doll.
Yeah.
GI Joe doll will always win. He's like punch her in the
It's
butt
like-
and stuff.
Like when you're a kid, you don't discriminate. It's like Andy, like in Toy Story. You just take the Barbie and it's Woody's best. Woody's trying to get the Barbie, you know? So
Well,
it's,
it wasn't Barbie. It was Betty.
okay.
What?
I don't know.
Later on in Toy Story 3, I'm thinking of. I'm sorry.
When I was a kid, I never had any Barbies, so I don't know. What
I didn't have
you
any
two been
Barbies.
doing,
I didn't
but-
have Barbies. My mom bought herself some to check them out, I guess, and it ended up coming down to the
Sounds like,
kids.
it
She's
sounds like a poor
probably
excuse
when I was 3
that
or
you're
4
making
years
out.
old. When I was 3 or 4 years old, she probably looked at me and said, "Oh, he wants it. Here, take it." Like when you have kids and they're bothering you, like get the fuck out of my face. Here you go.
So you were naturally inclined towards the Barbies, is that what you're saying?
Well, sure, why not?
You were a player at 4 years old?
Probably. I don't know. I know a lot of kids are players when they're babies. They can get all the pretty ladies, but when they get older, it disappears.
Yeah.
So all I know is I know that was a really popular doll. All my cousins had Barbies, and then when they had Barbies, they had many Barbies. It wasn't just one. I remember I would walk in, and they'd be like, "Oh, I have 10 of these, and mine, the favorite one is this one, and it has long hair." I'm like, okay, that's
Yeah. There's
Or
like
the hair
all
that
sorts of
grows.
yeah, the
variations.
hair that grows. Or like I remember walking into my cousin's house, and she had one that was, I didn't know they made a black one. She had she was black herself,
Bratz?
and no, it was a African American Barbie, and she had one, and I was like, wait, where did this come from? Didn't know they made those.
That's
and she
new
did-
though. That's like 2013 on, right?
No,
No,
they
it
made them
started
in the
like the
70s,
80s.
80s,
70s?
yeah,
Okay.
early 70s. They
But
made
it wasn't as mainstream as it is now.
It's weird because they didn't even mention it until the new series in this
It
episode.
was like
Oh,
a
yeah.
few
They've been
varieties.
around
Now they
for-
have like every body build, skin color, and they talk about
Right,
that
right,
episode.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the African American doll Barbies in the early 80s, I think, and they were basically Barbie's friends. They were not Barbie.
Right.
They were Barbie's friends. And she had one. I was like, wait, did you dye it? Or what did you do? Would you play with it? Did you destroy it? And she's like, no, they came this way. Her name is like something. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. I just want to play with your brothers.
So I didn't think this episode would be. I didn't think I'd be that interested in this episode, but this actually turned out to be one of the episodes with the most interesting stories.
Yep. Especially the lady with the pink
Scandal.
berets, man.
Yeah, there's like
That-
scandal. It starts out with somebody taking off nipples from Barbie. I thought it was
Right.
hilarious.
That was an
That's like the
interesting
notable moment for this recreation is sawing
Yeah.
off nipples.
There's a lot of scandal in this episode because it goes from the guy that basically helped invent Barbie, Jack Ryan, the designer, is
And
a
he seemed like a
playboy
really
and
smart guy
Yeah, well, he's a
until
rocket
he got
scientist.
until he got
famous.
rich.
Yeah,
He got rich
They
and
got
he started
money.
doing cocaine and drugs and getting a Playboy mansion, having a
Until he got hooked on
secret den
cocaine.
for
Yeah.
Oh, he lived in a
doing-
castle, didn't he?
Right.
Lived in a castle with a moat.
Yeah, and then it went from that to what else did it go to? It went to from that to the Barbie line basically destroying Gem with the pink berets in the 80s.
Yeah.
She basically said, "Oh, so Hasbro's going to make a doll that's about a rock star. Well, we're going to put out a rock star.
yeah, and they got
tomorrow."
out before them, and then everybody thought they copied, and that was an interesting story.
And then the next scandal they had is Bratz, and that was a big one. And they basically Bratz came out and they sued Bratz, and then Bratz died in 2016, which is last year. So,
Well, I didn't even know there was like multiple designs of Barbie's face. Like I thought it was the same head all the time, but there's like a version with the teeth, and there's a version with a closed mouth.
Well,
Yeah, to make her
before
sexier.
like the 70s, it didn't look at you. It looked away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's
something like
super
that.
weird,
Yeah,
right?
maybe it's because it's creepy for a doll to look at you dead on. I don't know.
I think
I forget what the reason was. They said
She
the
was like
reason.
innocent or
They said
anything.
it
It was,
was-
too forward for you to
it's like a little
stare at
bit
you.
too forward for a woman to stare at you, or the toy
That's
would
what I
stare at you.
just
So they
said.
said
Right.
it was like independence moment. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying,
I
repeating what
know.
you're saying.
Oh,
It was
and then they
Independence
couldn't be a
Month.
mom. Remember?
Oh yeah,
Barbie
she
was
could
a
never
mom?
get married. She could never get married because if she got married, she would have to have kids. If she had kids, then she had to do this, and so you can't do all that because then Barbie would never be Barbie.
It releases the independence of Barbie.
My favorite Barbie was the one that had titties that grew.
That's so
Because that was so weird.
was the
That was at a
best
point in
part of
time
the
when they
episode.
fired Ruth, one of the lady that started
Yeah.
with that Jack guy.
Yeah.
And
She was
there
the-
was this guy is running the line, and then they said, "Oh, girls like hitting puberty. Let's get one that has expanding boobs."
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
So the thing is that she got fired because she was cooking the book. So she would basically say, "We're selling 10,000
that was another
toys."
dramatic story. She'd take trucks full of Hot Wheels and just dump it in the parking lot. And
She just
since
drive-
it left the warehouse, it would count inventory
Yeah.
moved.
Yeah, she would mark it off and say this is sold, but it's hanging out in a.
Parking
Yeah,
lot.
I'm
Basically,
surprised how many businesses actually do that.
yeah.
oh, I know.
Well, I'm sure.
Or ship it.
For, I could see that for like a long term goal because like I know that next year will be popular because this is going to happen. So I'm just going to push this year by doing this. I could see that
Right.
happening, but like I don't know. Maybe she seemed like she was doing it maybe a lot more. The way they told the story, maybe she was doing it more
Well,
long term, or did she just get
I
caught?
think what happened was
No,
they probably
she
had
did it a
sales
lot worse.
slump and they needed to push their stock share up. So they said, okay, to do that, I got to do this real quick. So she was doing it. May have been worse, but she went to jail.
So usually when people do it is they move the POs forward and they just fake it and push it in this year instead of next year, and then move that product next year. So it's a clean process. But the way they explained it is that she was just doing it and leaving them in the parking lot
Yeah.
forever.
Well,
Yeah.
she obviously wasn't the ones with brains. Jack was.
Well, she
and he
was-
got hooked on cocaine.
She was she was the starter of
his
Mattel. Her husband helped her.
She knew what ladies
Yeah.
wanted, and that's what I think was making her main
And
success.
She was actually a really good businesswoman. I think the thing that she was trying to do is when she got older, there might have been a strain of her to get more, because she's the CEO at the time, to get more, to make the company look better. And she may have just said, I'm going to go to like the weird old tactic. I'm just going to do this. It looks bad. She went to jail because it basically faked out stock shareholders. And she went to jail, and then she didn't come back until the 90s.
Yet later, when she did come back, she was claiming, "Oh, I was the one that came up with Barbie. Nobody else is responsible because Jack
Right.
died." So I thought that
Oh,
was
yeah.
a dick
No,
move.
it wasn't that. Is that
She never announced
She
his
never
name.
admitted. But yeah.
no? She didn't want to bring him up because of what he
I know, but
became
still,
with
it's like you shun the guy just because he had a drug problem. But I get it.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
You don't want him back on the line.
But Barbie
Well, he
is...
was
Let's make Barbie with 3 arms, guys.
As soon as he
Okay.
died,
Yeah.
as soon as he
No,
died,
no,
that's
But
no.
when
who
they
gets
did that.
most credit? Like,
he got
Yeah,
pulled
I mean,
off the
she
line
was-
because of the drugs.
Dude, he got to live in a castle. His life is good.
He came up with the design.
right?
He came
no,
up with the
actually,
design.
he died in an apartment, didn't he? He
I don't-
lost
well,
all his money. And
Well, then that's his problem. You were in a castle at one
Something I
point.
thought was fascinating, like of the Barbie line, like you don't get this in any other type of figure, is the bending knees and stuff. Like click, click, click. He came
Yeah.
up with that design. That was I don't know of any other
Yeah.
toys that have that. That's really
Yeah.
cool design. Like in underneath the skin. It's crazy.
right.
No, it's a lot of stuff that he came up with was because he's a rocket scientist, a rocket
Yeah.
engineer, which is crazy. But at the same time, it kind of shows you the differences between, if people knew, I don't think many people know that she was based off a hooker doll. So
I didn't know.
when you tell people that story, she's not a hooker. She's based.
I
But
didn't know that either.
hasn't she had a lot of controversy over the
Yeah.
whole period of being around? Whether,
Well, they even talked
Body
about one of the
image
controversies,
issues.
like math is hard, or something
oh
like
yeah,
that.
that was hilarious.
she has had controversy her whole.
Plus, there's all those people who've like had cosmetic surgery to look like Barbie, which has caused problems.
Right. Well, the impossible body image, but the purpose they did it was to fit the clothes.
Right.
Which was a
Well, that's
super
what-
interesting.
Yeah, I can see how
Concept.
that's not being true, but then girls take the clothes off and say, "I need this body figure."
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's a toy. Like they were going
Yeah, I
back to
know.
it, it's a toy.
I mean, that was the whole concept from the beginning, is that it was based off those papers things that you dress in other paper dresses.
Right.
Yeah, just in a doll form,
It's
and that's
3D
where they make their
form.
money is the dresses. So, anything else you want to cover on Barbie before we move on to the next episode?
What about Ken?
Oh, Ken, he was the son of
Yeah.
Ruth, I think, originally.
Yeah,
and inspired the
the
name
daughter
Ken
was
for
Barbara,
the-
and her
the
son
doll.
was Ken.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They wanted a boy to help to
help make it
build
less feminine, because they
yeah.
wanted boys to be interested in it sometimes too.
Not happening.
Yeah,
Didn't help
no,
much.
not really. Okay, so episode 3, He-Man, searching for a new toy line for the boys. Designers at Mattel saw inspiration from Frank Franzetta's artworks, as well as their creative imagination, and launched the Masters of the Universe action figures. The toy line dominated in sales from 38.2 million to 400 million in 1986 before its demise in 1987, as a result of sales dropping to 7 million and financial failure of the live action film adaptation.
Wow.
So
This is a strong drop.
Yeah.
400 million to
Well,
7?
it started.
Well-
it started like took off crazy, dead.
you know why they explained in the show the reason why it died like that is because the kids that came into it at 1987 couldn't get the He-Man doll or the Skeletor doll because they're always sold out. So what they had a bunch of were all the junk tertiary or the older characters like Buzz Off or Stinkman or whatever like that. Like nobody wants that. I want He-Man. So what they ended up with is that they would contact the distributor, which is Mattel at the time, and Mattel's like, yeah, we don't have any He-Mans. We only have Buzz Off, so we're going to send you Buzz Off. So they send Buzz Off to the store, and then that's when they got put in the bin. And so they're like, oh, okay, that toy is not cool anymore because it's in the bin, so I don't want that toy. And then that's where the downfall started.
Yeah, this is a little before any of our generations, I think. Like it was slightly before. I was born in 1985, so I remember the toy a little bit. Like I actually got the castle,
Castle Grayskull,
and at Castle Grayskull, and like one or two of the figures, but I got it from like Goodwill. I didn't buy it from the store,
Right.
and that was like a little bit later. I do remember the movie though. I didn't watch it in the theater, but I watched it on TV, and I remember I had the sword, which was like it was the movie version of the sword, which is terrible.
Right.
But that's very vague memory, so I didn't have as much emotional attachment to this, and
As you did Barbie, right?
as Star Wars. And this didn't have quite as many interesting stories as Barbie, but it did have some funny stories. Like they're fighting over who created He-Man.
Yeah.
They were talking about some of their really weird names for the figures. Like can you remember what one of the names was? It was like they had one called Stretch.
Bullet Man.
Bullet Man.
Yeah.
They had like a guy they created that like had a head that popped out.
Yeah.
They call him Stretchy Man or something like that. It was like not creative names at
Extender
all.
Man.
Extender Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they had Stinkor, which is a stinky one. Then they had all the. But the thing that was really interesting is how he built the doll. He took a big gym doll that they were selling in the international market, cut it up, put more muscle on it, and then he did a volumetric study on it and found out that at a 6 foot even, that guy would weigh 700 pounds.
Whoa.
So he was like, what?
Big boy.
Yeah, so they made a He-Man doll. He called it He-Man. The guy that built the doll called it He-Man.
Yeah, he came up with the name.
And then he made one called Tank Head and Bullet Head. So he just such simple names. And then the guy that helped make He-Man what it is with Skeletor and all that stuff was like an artist in their lower underground area or wherever. I forget his name.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really funny. And he kept saying bong, and that made me laugh so hard.
Yeah.
It's like bong. I was like, oh, this is great. But yeah.
Another part of the episode that was interesting is how they talked about how the TV show was made for the toy line, and
Right.
how that was like one of the first instances of that, and how that really changed things for them.
Because the Mattel CEO was a bullshit artist.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, so
It's like we have these comic books that are coming out. That's how everybody knows. But the kids that are going to buy these don't read, so how are they going to see the comic? Because we have this TV show coming out.
Yeah. So he's a bullshit artist. So it started off with Child World asking like, oh, so Star Wars has got a movie. What do you guys got? Oh, you didn't know we're going to have a comic book that comes out of each one. And that's what Will said. But then later on, they're like at another company, and this company's like, it says for children 5 and older. Children 5 and older can't read. And they're like, oh, we're going to have a TV show. And then, not TV show, we're going to have a movie.
Right.
2-part movie, like cartoon movie. And they're like, oh, for the same price as 2 movies, you can do a whole TV show. So they did the TV show.
I remember He-Man on Cartoon Network.
And then they started making fun of Prince Adam, because Prince Adam is like, the guy that invented He-Man, he's like, who the hell is Prince Adam? He's all all muscles and looks like a girly girl.
And they talk about how they had to do that to tone it down for the kids.
Yeah,
because it was too much to have just He-Man.
Right. He said it was like completely ludicrous because they had this guy that was like 700 pounds and like tights and like a leotard, and they're like laughing about it. And then Barbie got pissed off. Right, that was funny. The Barbie team got pissed off.
Why?
Because they're losing sales because girls are going towards He-Man. So 20% of their market share.
Was it about the time they made
they made She-Ra.
She-Ra. That's it.
She-Ra?
The girl version of He-Man.
Right.
So Barbie's CEO came together said that we need to capitalize on this. We lost 20% of market share of girls to He-Man dolls because girls were playing with He-Man toys because it's like, oh, this is cool. My brother's playing with it. I want to play with it too. So then she came and said, well, the first year that the boys' toys at Mattel took over the girls' sales is when they freaked out. So they went and they moved on there and said, okay, we want to make a girl doll. So they came together and were like, what should we name it? She woman, she ma'am, she this, or she ma'am was my favorite. She ma'am. And they said she man, she, and it's dash Ra, and the goddess of power. And then they made the commercials for it, which are freaking weird. It's like She-Ra, the goddess of power. She's dancing.
Well, everything.
Like, what is this?
That's like what's iconic for me. That everything of that line has that kind of feel to it. He-Man, anything. Like He-Man,
yeah.
She-Ra. It's all
Beast Man. Like, okay, Beast Man. Skeletor was like really good. The Skeletor took off because of the cartoon.
Right.
That was the part that everyone liked, because Skeletor's laugh was really good. And he was very obnoxious, which I think was really good. But anyway, I'm moving on. You can do your other one. That's that I want to talk about.
That's what I want to talk about with He-Man, episode 3.
That's all I have.
Anything else?
He-Man. I never played with a He-Man doll. I never watched. Only thing I watched as He-Man is that weird ass video that someone made with a Cher song,
Oh yeah.
and that's the only thing I ever knew about He-Man.
Wait, it wasn't Cher. It was wait.
Is it Cher? It's not Cher.
No, it's I forgot the name of the artist, but it's not Cher.
I know.
As a kid, I didn't even watch the show. I didn't watch the show until like later on when I was
You're
adult,
right, it's not
like
I
a
did watch
teenager.
the show, and I'm pretty sure I had a He-Man. I don't know if I had a Skeletor.
I don't even know. I think I had one of like the knockoff figures because remember I got it from Goodwill. I don't. It was like a bird thing. I don't even
Birdman?
know.
Birdman.
I don't know what it was.
I know the song is what is it called?
I remember seeing it more so when Thundercats.
It's that Hey song. It's by
Yeah.
the Four Non-Blondes. What's up?
What was it?
The song. The artist is the Four Non-Blondes.
Oh yeah. It
And
sounds
the song
boring.
he sang was the yeah song, but it's really good.
It's interesting how they Hollywood made that movie and expecting it to be a success. It did follow like a lot of the stuff that was going on at the time, but
It didn't do very well. I mean, it just didn't.
Dolph Lundgren wearing almost nothing. I just didn't do anything for anybody. Oh yeah, this song.
This is the He-Man thing I watched when I was a kid. It was in 2010, I think, is when it came out or something.
Yeah, that kind of revitalized the whole He-Man
Yeah.
show.
So that was what was big at the time.
I still remember there's one time in an animation class I was taking, someone showed my professor that video with that song,
What do you say?
and he just looks at it as like, and I worked on that animation that they're using right there.
So many recycled animations though.
It's like I still remember cleaning up all those animations. I'm like, oh my gosh,
That's
that was
hilarious.
so weird.
So episode 4 of the Toys That Made Us, they cover G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe was introduced in 1964. It's Hasbro's G.I. Joe, America's Movable Fighting Man, as it was named at the time. And it was the first action figure in toy history. But an oil crisis and declining sales led to the line's demise in 1978. Desperate to hold their own against Kenner's Star Wars line, Hasbro took inspiration from Reagan-era Cold War to revive the G.I. Joe as G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero in 1982, making over $51 million that year and becoming one of the most influential boys' toys of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where they also make a TV show, much like they did.
There was also
Hasn't there been multiple TV?
there's
shows?
been also a movie, I think, using
Yeah,
G.I.
there
Joe's
is.
small toys, or what was
No,
it called?
I don't know.
No, that's
G.I.
not. That's
Joe
like a
was-
knockoff thing.
Yeah.
It's
Is
like
it?
based
Yeah.
around.
I don't know. I really
G.I.
like
Joe.
that.
But isn't there?
There was a
any
G.I.
live
Joe
action?
movie with The Rock.
Right.
Yeah.
It was pretty good, right?
It had
I
some of
think
his
I
favorites.
remember- okay, I don't know.
That was when Rock's career was first starting. He was going by the Rock and Dwayne Johnson. The Rock as Dwayne Johnson, or
Yeah.
The Rock.
The Rock has Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, he'd be like The Rock or as Dwayne Johnson. Only like he was trying to use his name Dwayne Johnson more, and it didn't work. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the beginning of The Rock. I don't know. That movie sucked to me. I don't know. I just didn't like it.
Don't remember. But there's two of them, right?
Yeah.
What is notable for me from the TV show is Cobra. Was it Cobra Kai?
Commander.
Cobra
Commander?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so good with that voice.
Yeah.
Cobra Kai was the leader, right?
I think so.
And Snake Eyes.
Commander.
Wasn't Cobra Kai from like the
Snake Eyes.
last Karate Kid or something?
Cobra Kai.
Yeah. Cobra Kai's from the.
Was it just Cobra Commander?
Yeah, it's Cobra Commander. You guys are saying Cobra Kai, the guys that like kicked
Cobra
kicked the
Kai
kid in the
Commander.
face. Cobra Kai's the guys that he was fighting. Remember he kicked that guy?
Hoi!
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Hoi!
Miyagi.
Mr.
almost
Miyagi fight
punched him
kills
in the
that
face.
kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kills the teacher. The cool thing about one thing I loved about the toys in itself was that it was a push against Barbie in the beginning. So like you can buy a male doll that you can dress up with all these things, that you can buy guns and toys and stuff like that. And the basis of the doll was the posability of the doll. So it's all about making it like an art doll that you can like pose, and it had like the multifunctioning.
Yeah, the origins of it's interesting because it's the first action figure.
Yeah,
so that's cool.
And they said, don't call it a doll; it's an action figure. That's where the whole argument came from. But then they wanted to make toys that you can make fight. But then there was the war in Vietnam, which killed the doll because they're like, we don't want them to fight people anymore. We don't like people fighting people. So they made an octopus later, and then that helped it because they're like, oh, now fighting animals. Like, oh, okay, that helps sail, change this tactic.
Giant monsters.
So then G.I. Joe came out with, they basically then died, and it came back basically by building a show around it, a show or a comic book with Marvel, I think it was.
It's very similar to kind of how He-Man did. They got the main head of Hasbro, I think, the son of the guy that started Hasbro or something. I don't know.
Yeah, the son of the guy that built the original G.I. doll.
And it was really interesting. They reenacted this for the show. He was just sitting there at a table, like very like just staring at everybody, very very intimidating. And then he's like the way they described him when they actually showed. He said, "I don't like this." When they like were originally pitching it to him, the reviving G.I. Joe, he's like, "I don't like this, but I challenge you to come back and do better." And so when they came back, he
just said no, right?
They came up with the general concept for the comic book. Was it comic book or
no? They came back and they said that we want to do a comic book with Marvel. So Marvel helped.
Yeah, and then a TV show, and they came up with a song for the commercial.
Right. They want to do a comic book that they would do an ad for.
Yeah,
so they started
commercial.
So they're going to do a commercial for the comic book, which is going to be G.I. Joe. And that made Marvel want to work on it. So Marvel's like,
I remember, because there's restrictions on commercials for action figures, but no restrictions on ads for comic books.
Or books.
Why was there...
So restrictions on the toys.
This is before Congress was bought out by Wall Street. Oh. So there's a lot more restrictions on ads. So like, we don't want our kids to be susceptible to ads, so you can't have any ads of kids. Oh. So there's a lot more restrictions back then.
So what they had is that you couldn't have info, you couldn't have a graphic. Like, you couldn't have, like, a 3D model or, a 2D graphic do stuff with the toy. You'd have to have only 7 seconds of that, of any kind of graphic. Right. But then you have to physically have kids playing with the toy for it to be the ad. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you couldn't have it, be like Luke Skywalker come in front, like a 2D version of him, and, hit the toy. It would only be 7 seconds. Toy. It has to be actual toy. So then that was what they did. So they said, there's no restrictions on the comic book, so we can do that. So then they pushed the comic book Marvel so they would help them, and that's what they built, G.I. Joe. And then they started with the pitch again, and what happened in the pitch? They had a jingle. So they said, G.I. Joe,
real American hero.
And that's what they did. And the guy's like, I'm going to go visit my dad. That's what the guy said, apparently.
Yeah, he didn't say anything, and he says, I got to go talk to my dad. And then
his dad is dead.
He went to go to his dad's grave and said, I got G.I. Joe's back, he said.
Yeah. So basically his dad is the original. He's the one that allowed G.I. Joe in the first place, and now his son is allowing it. So he's like, that was kind of like, okay, go make it.
Yeah, that was definitely the most notable part of this episode to me, was like them pitching the reincarnation. Did you actually ever own the reincarnation? Because it happened in the 80s, but it was around for till the early 90s.
I'm going to tell you what toys I had. I had Ninja Turtle toys and I had Ghostbusters toys.
Oh, I had tons of Ninja Turtle toys.
Ninja Turtles for sure.
They should have done a Ninja Turtles episode. That'd be interesting.
Again, but changing the industry, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know if they did. Did they?
I don't think they did.
They're really they're like a He-Man again, kind of.
But they were launched as a joke, right?
Yeah. They were not supposed to be real. Some guy just made them, and it's like, all right, here
maybe they should do an episode on that. Season 2. We'll see.
That could be a future thing. I had a lot of Ninja Turtle toys and Ghostbuster toys, and I had definitely a lot of knockoff shit, because my mom would go the 99-cent store.
I never actually owned a G.I. Joe. I've been to friends' houses where they had a bunch, though. Like, they had the ones with the parachutes. Do you remember the ones where they throw up and has a parachute?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I never actually owned any of them, though. I just played with theirs.
Little army men.
Yeah.
And I also have spent a lot of money on Pogs.
Pogs is so big.
I was such a gambler at the time. I would the neighbor would come by. I was like,
I went to Knott's Berry Farm all the time when Pogs was big, and I don't know if you ever went to Knott's Berry Farm at the time, but they're giving away Slammers and Pogs for free all over Knott's Berry Farm, and they'd have a certain section, like right now, where the laser tag was a pog playing section. You could like throw the slammer and win people's pogs
Oh yeah.
and then challenge people.
I was into that game. So what I remember, I'll tell you my story. I had a Moonpie Slammer, and my Moonpie Slammer was bent. So it was bent like this, like a bowl. So it had like a lot of like pull, so you could smack it, and it would like topple the whole thing, like really good. And I remember my neighbor came over. My neighbor, the kid, he came by. He's like, "Okay, I have a dump truck." It was like a dump truck, toy dump truck. He said, "We're gonna fill all our pogs in there. Whoever wins it gets the dump truck." So I did. I brought my Moonpie Slammer out, and he had this shitty little plastic one.
Those were the worst. I eventually got a really thick metal one, but it wasn't bent like yours.
Yeah, so it was purposely bent like a bowl. So then I hit it, and I got all his freaking pogs. I took the dump truck that he had, and I took it and like dumped it in my living room. I was like, "Bye," and I gave it back to him. And his mom was pissed. She came by and she's like, "Can you get some of his pogs back?" And my mom was like, "Well, he lost them, right? He gambled them." And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, you can have them. I don't fucking care." But I asked for his slammer instead, so I got a slammer.
Oh, nice.
My wife has a Bill Clinton slammer.
What?
It's still in our house. She keeps showing it off to me. She's like, "There's my Bill Clinton slammer." I was like, "Why do you have this?"
Well, because I went to Knott's Berry Farm and have like a mystery lodge slammer and pogs.
Man, I gotta go looking through my stash and see if I have any left.
Then they started making them on. When it got uncool is when they started putting them on like pieces of garbage. Like it was just like, here's your cereal box, comes with 8 pogs. I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah,
anymore.
really cheap
Happy
little pieces of cardboard.
Yeah,
I got a lot in Happy Meals.
Yeah, so that's why I stopped buying them.
I just remember that when I was a kid, my mom wouldn't get any Star Wars toys or anything else. So I remember I saw like episode 1, like right when I saw it. And so I made a pod racer with paper. Like I made a 3D model of it and used like rubber band for the little electrical band thing. And I like taped it all up so it was durable. Shit lasts for a while. I was like pod racer 2, like paper made 3D models like a foot long. I was actually impressed with myself.
My dad was a model. He would buy me model toys too, and I'm like, "Dad, I'm like 5 years old, and he buys this like 15-year-old person toy." I'm like, "How the hell am I supposed to make this shit?"
Hey, I built a model.
What is this base?
I built a model of a scout trooper on the bike.
At 5 years old?
Not that young.
No, my dad my dad bought super glue and X-Acto knife. Gave me this plane. It was I remember it was a Thunderbird or something like that, fighter.
I know that. Well, that's a thing though. Like,
So my dad gave it to me, and I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, "Dad, how do I get this out?" I remember looking at him and looking at the toy and said, "How do I get this out?" And then he would look at me. He's like, "You did it. You cut one out." I'm not doing this.
Isn't that
I
like
stepped away?
Isn't that a parenting thing though? Expose your kids, like do dangerous things with your kid more. They'll be more respectful of danger.
Yeah, I wish my
Well,
dad
if you
was with
shelter
me
your
when it was
kid. That
happening.
kid will like just go.
I think
like,
his
do
dad
dumb
gave
shit all
him-
the time.
Teach him.
It sounds like his dad gave him that just so
I wish
that
my
he
dad
stays
was
busy.
I wish my dad was sitting
For a
next to me
longer
while I
time.
was doing it. My dad like took off, and he was just
There
like,
you go.
"Okay, good luck." I'm like, "Fuck this." So
It's not that far.
So I went and got my freaking Ghostbuster toys and I played with that, and he saw that I didn't finish it. He's like, "Why this isn't finished?" Well, I don't have time to prime it. I know what it is now. I don't know how to prime
That's
it.
another one of
I don't know
those
how to
is
paint it.
Ghostbusters episode.
The Ghostbuster toys I had the freaking car and everything.
I had the building.
Yeah, I had the building too. You know what happened to all that stuff? Donated all of it.
I would take my cockatiel and put him in the building and have him fight my toys. The only thing he didn't like was the little elevators. Remember to swirl down, attack him.
I've never burned any of my toys though.
All right, so out of these 4 episodes, what are your favorite ones?
for sure the Star Wars one's my favorite. Number 2 is the Barbie. I think as it got down the list is the level of what I cared about it.
Justin, did you watch any of them?
Yeah, I watched the first 2.
So Star Wars,
The best 2.
or did you like the drama of Barbie?
It was a little bit of both. They're both pretty neck and neck.
Star Wars is
looking
cool
forward
just
to
because
those.
like you could see like the rush and like what they would have to do to get it out, and
It definitely felt a lot closer to home for me.
Yeah,
Star
I could
Wars
see that.
from the business perspective.
business side of it.
Yeah.
So we went to Celebration, I think 3 years ago, Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
And we went to a panel where all they talked about were Ewok toys. And they
hated
were
it.
sitting there,
I hated it.
and they
I
were
hated
literally,
it.
It wasn't
literally
that bad.
They
It was
literally sitting there,
terrible.
it's like, so there was the Ewok release of this toy, which he had a Ewok glider, but the Ewok glider was half broken, so you ended up getting a very expensive toy. I was like, What the hell?
Well, they were
This
talking
is the
about
Ewok
the
lunchbox
right?
and
The
bullshit.
Well, it was for
Skywalker?
hardcore collectors. So it's people that like
Right.
really just wanted that information that they didn't know about.
Well, honestly, I
they're already collecting.
appreciate that level of like people that really care for the toy, because you can see how much they love it, because they're like, there was this Lego that you should go get because it's like all the Ewok Village.
What I think is silly though is Tommy compares that to this edited to be entertaining documentary.
I'm sorry. It was painful. It was painful. I didn't.
I know that the only reason that Tommy doesn't like this is because anything with educational value is not worth his time.
Exactly.
All right, so what else would you like to see covered in the future? We got Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters.
Rick and Morty toys.
Well, that's way too late.
Stretch
Is there
Armstrong.
Stretch Armstrong? That would be a good episode.
I had one of those, ripped it open.
Oh, those are big
All the
toys.
goo.
And all the
I'd never owned one, but I had a neighbor that had one.
one toy
And I
I
almost
almost
broke
broke
it.
See
Because
is
that was a toy before the cartoon too, right?
Yeah.
WWF.
I would
toys.
like to know the origins of those army soldier things. Like they had cowboy Indians.
The little plastic.
Yeah, the
thing,
little
man.
plastic.
The
ones.
Army Men?
Those are like just
Army
toys.
Men.
They're like, hey, we can make like 50,000 of these in one pop. Let's just make these and sell them for $5 in the jar.
Like who came up with that? That's like genius.
Yeah. The WWF
Joe.
toys,
Whoever made G.I. Joe's.
the WWE toys were WWF toys were huge when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
People come over and they're like, "I'm gonna fight your toy. Mine's got hugging action." I'm like, "What the hell's hugging action? I don't have any of this shit. I have my freaking Ninja Turtle karate kick your guy in the face." And they're like, "No, it's not."
Ellie, did you have a favorite episode? What would you like to see them cover in the future?
Marvel toys.
Play-Doh.
Play-Doh?
Play-Doh would be cool.
That was
That
a
would be
board
kind of
games?
cool. What'd you say?
Board games?
Board games?
Monopoly.
Puzzles.
Mhm.
You know,
I
that'd
mean,
be...
it might be a totally different category. But
I see how that could be very interesting because it's like, how do you come up?
How
with all
about the
these
first
rules?
Bop It?
oh yeah,
Yeah, like
Bop It.
I
I did have a Bop It.
A Bop It.
There's so many
The
things. we can
hacky
do with
sack.
this.
the big wheel would be a cool one too because the big wheel was
Fingers,
Hot
fingerboards.
Wheels?
big wheel,
Oh.
big wheel bike.
Out of the two that you saw,
Yeah.
Ellie, did you like the Star Wars one or the Barbie
Fingerboards.
one more?
Fingerboards. Those
The
are
Barbie
huge.
Which one?
Barbie?
Barbie,
I actually like Barbie.
and
Yeah,
yo-yos.
because I always wished I had one as a child.
Oh.
What'd you
Fingerboards.
get?
Huh?
What'd you get instead?
I played with rocks.
Play with rocks? Would you grow?
Lie.
You grow up
Did
as
you
a cave
draw
woman?
on a rock?
I played with old Play-Doh.
Oh, nice. Did you ever eat a Play-Doh?
No,
I never did either.
I made things that look like food with
I'm
Play-Doh.
gonna tell you right now, my dad didn't have toys either. He made a cart and made the cart get pulled by a cat. That's how his toys were.
What?
Took a cat, rounded it up,
Okay,
put
before
strings on the cat, and made
before-
it pull a cart.
What the fuck?
Before we rate it and go into overall thoughts, let me know which one you're most excited for: Lego, Transformers, Hello Kitty, or Star Trek.
Lego.
Hello Kitty.
Episodes. Hello
Legos.
Kitty. Ellie's Hello Kitty.
Legos.
Legos.
Lego.
Really?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm the only one that's
for sure.
started for Star Trek. Very
And
good.
Transformers.
I totally
was
wanna
my
know
second
how
one.
Star Trek
They came up with his
Star Trek
Legos.
is cool, but I was never into their toys. Lego is
I was totally into
world
Star Trek.
changing.
Lego, I definitely want to
Lego's
see.
the last one on my list.
I had
Dude, they
Captain
have their
Picard.
own land, for fuck's sakes.
So?
Lego
Have you-
land.
So?
No, what other toy has a land for themselves?
They have a Lottie World for Ellie's company that she works for.
It's Lotte.
Lotte World.
I
So
did work
Everyone
on Hello
everyone
Kitty
says
land.
Lotte.
There's a theme park in Japan for Hello Kitty.
Are you
That's
kidding?
where we're
Wait,
gonna
really?
Go. Sanrio,
Sanrio.
Puro Land.
Yeah, there
is
is.
it?
I didn't know that.
Work on it. Yeah.
Sanrio is a huge company. My favorite character was the frog.
Gurutama is my new favorite.
I don't know what that is, but all right.
It's a lazy egg.
Oh, the one with the butt?
Yes.
So weird.
Tommy. With a little bacon covering the butt and some.
Mhm. They sell them at 7-Eleven. Go get them.
All right. So, what do you rate the series? What are your overall thoughts on it? What can they do better? What do they do bad? So,
Right. Oh, me? Okay. For I don't know, rating system wise, it's not crazy. It's informational, so I'm gonna give it
For
like
a documentary.
I'm gonna give it a good solid 8. It was fun to watch for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I like it. And you can tell it wasn't like very high budget
right.
because of what was going on, but
This guy has enough money to make it higher budget if he wanted to, but I don't think it's really worth him.
honestly, it's not something that was made for everybody because people have to like documentaries that like this.
Yeah, obviously Tommy didn't like it.
But the problem is
Tommy
that
hates information.
I always loved toys as a kid, and I didn't even notice the idea that people that are toy makers are the ones that actually shape you as a person, kind of, with what you do. Because some of the things that you design, like, ideas and your morals and the things you play with are what you came up with as an adult. So like He-Man had the moral saga and all their stories and all that stuff, but I didn't know toy designers even thought of that kind of stuff. I thought just putting out stuff to make money. And I didn't even know they had ideas.
Well, they want to make a good kid show, and parents want their kids to watch something that teaches them. So,
but I didn't know that. I didn't know there's moms that didn't. I knew moms didn't like Barbie because Barbie's an unnatural body shape and this and that, and they didn't want to get into that. But then there was a person that did studies on moms and found out that they would rather watch their kid get married to somebody because they were grooming themselves to look like Barbie.
Right.
So I thought that was really cool.
I never treated any of my toys as what they were supposed to be. Like I had like a Spider-Man, I had Batman stuff. I never actually treated them as Batman. I always treated every single toy as a Dragon Ball Z character for some reason. And just made them fight and break. And
so your imagination was very limited.
Yes. I just wanted to fight. I just like it was like literally just fight. That's all I wanted. I didn't care who was what.
As long as you never use your toy as a suppository, you're in the positive world. There's people that found Buzz Lightyears in their butts and stuff. That's so weird.
To infinity and beyond.
Yeah, basically.
All right, Tommy, what do you think of this?
It was pretty boring. Flat out the board. I wanted to know more about like I would have liked more of to see like the crazy collectors. Like see like what do people like, you know, more of that stuff. Not so much of like, oh yeah, so we made a lot of money off of this, and like we know you made money. Like,
but
we get that.
The thing though is,
I want to see the people who bought it.
The collectors are the people that you saw giving the presentation on the Ewoks.
So wait, so
that's the type of people.
Children?
That's well, the grown-ups that still collect them. But that's the type of people that collect these toys, and there's a lot of
that one segment where they had in the Star Wars one where that guy had the huge Obi-Wan library.
If you went,
that was cool to see.
If you went and watched all the way to the He-Man one, you saw they have a convention just for He-Man called PowerCon.
Wow!
And the one on He-Man,
they sell custom-made He-Man toys.
Yes, and they sell $90 He-Man dolls.
Was there only like 10 people go there or what?
No, there's like hundreds. There's like people dressed as the cat, man. Like the cat.
It's just weird.
Saber cat.
That's just some extremism.
You just said that's what you wanted to see. Now you don't want to see it.
Nah, I want to see that. They should have showed the Star Wars convention in this and showed all the toys and stuff that they sell. That would have been kind of cool.
Well, they walked through that collector's place, right?
That one guy
has like
every toy ever made.
He even had 2 different versions of the Boba Fett. That's extremely rare.
One with a J back.
He's like, I bought this when I was 23, and I bought this one last week. You're like, what?
Paid this one way too much for this one, but it's like worth 5 times the amount of price I paid for it back then. So, Tommy, I don't think Tommy's worth the rating.
Give it a rating, Tommy.
I rate it 8 out of 10 as well.
I'll give it like a 6.
That's not bad.
It's pretty good for me.
Ellie,
seeing only one of them.
What are your overall thoughts? How do you think they did with it? You were really entranced with it when it was on.
I was, so 8 out of 10. Okay. I didn't watch the G.I. Joe one, and I actually don't care for it. And then He-Man was like, I loved He-Man, the cartoon.
Because of his muscles?
Yes.
Oh.
No. Anyways.
Did you wish it looked more like Diego Luna with muscles?
Oh.
Anyways, I liked the show, but then when I was watching the episode, it wasn't as intriguing as I thought it would be.
Yeah, when I got to the G.I. Joe one, I kind of fell off a little bit. I was like, okay.
Well, I wasn't as interested in that one either, but I previously listened to a podcast on G.I. Joe and the origins of that, so that one had even more information than this episode.
You know why I think I never liked the G.I. Joe dolls? Because my dad thought they were like oppressive dolls against like the third world countries. So my dad always called them like, I was like, what are you talking about, Dad? There's not even like attacking
Forget
Arabs
these
at all.
army kids.
Like good is bad.
Make this plane.
Yeah, he didn't even know there was a Cobra Commander. He just thought they were like American dolls that were killing all these people. It's like, Dad's not happening. My dad's always been kind of weird.
These dolls promote violence.
And our guest, what did you think?
I thought they were really done really well. I think they might have been too short because you could have had a couple.
Yeah, like definitely that Star Wars one.
Right.
Could have been longer.
They were jumping
Dude, that
around
Ewok presentation was twice as long as this damn show.
That's true.
But if they had talked about the history and then they did the collectors and the different, I think that could have constituted 2 episodes. And I only saw the Star Wars and the Barbie, but both for me were super interesting. Being the toy industry, selling toys.
You go back to your office and talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna share it with everybody.
Yeah.
Because there's some stuff that's very relevant in there.
I have a feeling that since he's not going to be rushing these next 4 episodes, they're going to be even better. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they have
I do
more
know
time.
I want to see the Lego one. That's for sure.
Now you know how to
I think
flank
the
your
Legos
brand.
would make but yeah, I give it like an 8.
Oh, good. Average, isn't it?
It's pretty. I would say it's 8. So 8 all around, except
7.6
for Tommy.
It rounds up to an 8.
8.
So, there you go.
There it is. With that, let's get into listener confessions. That's Ellie.
Welcome to this week's confessionary, where we confess what we did this week and what you, the listener, may have confessed to us. We'll start with this confessioner. It's Manuel Hernandez Animation again.
Yay.
He sends this through Instagram, right?
Yeah,
All right.
Instagram.
So he wanted to share us this.
He's on YouTube though.
Yes.
Yeah, his YouTube videos where he has all of his art.
That's cool.
Okay, what does it say?
Anyways, he wanted to share with us his maybe his latest work. It's titled "A Smartass Comic," and so then there's this picture of this kid. I'm wearing these brown pants.
I think he's going for a nerd again. You can tell this
Yeah.
nerd
Is
aesthetic there.
Well,
Is
here's
he making fun of us?
He's calling us smart asses, I guess. I don't
No.
know.
So then what he
kidding.
is saying, this
So
little
only poop that
character,
comes out of our mouth.
the character is saying the 14th digit of pi is 9. So then
I don't understand
face,
it. Does that make me stupid?
159265359897889.
So what's the 14th digit?
Let's see. 1, 2. Are we counting 3 as one of the digits?
Yes.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. It's 7.
What's up?
He might have
So where's nine?
counted. If you don't count 3, it's 9.
But still, look at who's the smart ass now. I'm just kidding. The 14th
apologize.
digit, a digit meaning it's a number. So, not
It's okay. It's
I
okay.
mean, all of this is irrelevant to the fact that the
Well,
face of the character
anyways,
he draws
well, yeah,
an
it's
ass.
is an
the
ass.
Yeah,
The
it's a
real
butt.
thing is going far is that smart asses are wrong. And then just shut up.
First of all, I've never seen an ass with that much hair on top of it. And second of all,
It's a hairy
Some
lower
lower
back.
back hair.
why is your guy wearing a jockey shirt? But that's it.
Stop. Maybe.
a
Well,
question.
this is
Those are the
what I
best
like about
iron
this
pants
piece of
I've ever
work.
seen.
It brought a lot of questions and have us interpret this in very, very, a lot of different ways. So this is cool. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks, Manuel Hernandez Animations.
Keep your doodling. If you'd like to send us your confession, you can email us at contact@nerdconfessions.net or send us a tweet at nerdconfessions with the zeros replacing the O's. We've heard our listeners. Now, what about us? Let's see what we have to confess this week. We'll start off with Sohail. What did you do, weirdo?
I watched Toys That Made Us, and I watched a bunch of stuff on The Crown.
The Crown.
Like,
The Crown?
I watched a lot of
It's a show.
documentaries about the British Crown, and that's about
It's
it.
getting pretty popular.
It is pretty popular. So if you don't watch
I
it,
caught
then-
Pedram watching. I was like, what the hell? You watch this shit too? He's like, yep.
well, why not? Why not watch it?
I heard a little bit of it. It
I
sounds pretty
also
interesting.
watched a lot of videos on my upcoming trip to Japan in June. So
You gotta get ready.
I got a lot of videos, and I watched a live feed of a train in Norway for about 8 hours.
Norway?
You watched it for 8
I
hours?
watched it in the
I saw
background
it.
for 8 hours.
Why?
Saw it for about 3 minutes.
I fell asleep on the ground. I fell asleep in front of it. I woke up and it was still on. And
You
I
are
was-
the strangest human being I've ever met.
Well, you never met my
I
dad.
I fell asleep in front of the what's the guy, Jeff from Overwatch team. He, during Christmas time, I think on Christmas Day or some other time, like right after Christmas, he did a live stream where he said he was going to announce some stuff for Overwatch, and in that stream it was just him sitting in front of a fireplace, looking at a wall, doing nothing, and then that happened for like 8 hours, and then or 4 hours probably at least, and then it was done.
Remember that one guy that fell asleep?
No announcement.
I think maybe they announced one small thing at the end. That's it.
Oh, and I felt bad because I forgot something on the nerd news this week. I messed
What
it
did
up.
Target,
you forget?
right?
No, I messed up. I didn't talk about the Overwatch League.
Oh,
Twitch paid $90 million for Overwatch.
well, it's big.
Paid to have it TV syndicated, and there's League. So LA has 2 teams. So good luck, LA.
Interesting.
London has a team, New York has a team, Shanghai has a team, and your favorite place, Seoul, Korea, has a team.
Does Panama have one?
Does it? No.
I'm surprised.
Will it? Maybe.
Oh, you didn't understand where I got that from, William.
What? I didn't hear you.
Never mind. Doesn't matter. What did you do this week?
I put Jeff on from Overwatch just so you guys can see what I fell asleep to. He just stares at the camera and just hangs out there the whole time.
Does he really do that?
Oh, he talks a little bit in the beginning, I guess. No, actually, this is cut.
These are outtakes and cuts.
Yeah, this is a cut.
First of all, this is really awkward, but that's just me.
It's 9 hours and 54 minutes, that third one.
Which one? This one? That's the one we want.
9 hours and 54
This guy
minutes.
sat in that chair for 9 hours.
Just yeah.
He's so weird.
Thinking about eating a cookie.
So it was right. It was about 8 hours. Wait, more than that.
First of all, that's pretty crazy. He sat in front of a camera for 9 hours.
Sure, it's not like a loop or something.
Does he get?
Yeah.
Does he get up and walk around?
No.
Off
Well,
screen.
he does like one or two small things. But apparently there was an announcement. It was at the very end. I didn't stay awake for it.
First of all, I can't sit there for 9 hours without having taken a shit or a
Yeah.
So either he didn't drink anything or he evacuated all his bowels. And he wears shoes like me, old people's shoes.
All right. Well, you asked me what I did. I watched, in preparation for Japan, a lot of Godzilla films. A lot of old Godzilla. The first Godzilla film, Gojira, which is the mix between a gorilla and a
lizard.
Kojira, which is...
It's Gojira.
I forgot what a Kojira was.
Dragon.
It's not. It's not a dragon.
I don't know.
I forget what it is.
If you go to...
I think it's like a sea monster. I'm not sure. So I watched a lot of that. I played the video game. The first movie of Godzilla is actually very thought-provoking, unlike the rest of them, and that makes sense as to why the rest of the Godzilla movies, as far as continuity, say this takes place right after the first one, and every movie, like there was a series of like 4 movies that were in a row, and then another series of 4 movies in a row, and then all of a sudden every movie after then either is in its own or takes place right after the first one. But it's interesting that I always go back to that first movie. It was so long ago. It was shot so well, and it was very impactful for the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I also played the video game of Godzilla while I watched those movies. I bought it like a year and a half ago and haven't played it since.
We're gonna go see that Godzilla head.
There's a building in Tokyo
it's
that
in
has
Shinjuku.
Godzilla head off the top.
It's in Shinjuku, yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
Mike just fell and hit him in the face.
So some stuff happens. Yeah, it's mainly just him staring around, though.
It's making me feel uncomfortable. Can you take it off?
No.
You know what I think happened? Look, he's probably farting here. Like, I mean, that's what I would... But yeah, the head is in Shinjuku, and you can look at it. It's like a life-size version of his head, and it's on top of a building. So it's like, and his claw. It's like clawing over a building.
So
That's pretty cool.
I also continued to play Neo,
H-O-H, yeah.
I would say it's harder. It's a lot harder than Bloodborne because you have to really know what you're doing. Bloodborne, you can get like one tactic and use that tactic the whole way through. This one's like crazy.
Oh, I played Skyrim.
Oh, there you go. Oh, the game you played. I also played the Breath of the Wild DLC, and I don't know. It's not as good as I was hoping. It's just more upgrading.
Yeah, that's what.
But what am I upgrading for?
To get to the next upgrade,
But why?
so that you're a collector. You're basically
I
Nintendo.
would at least make another mode like that challenge mode.
Yeah,
Then the upgrades would make sense because it's hard. But like, there's nothing for me to upgrade for.
maybe there's a secret you don't know yet.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying to get my way through it. It's cool. There's more shrines, but yeah, whatever. Also, I found a treasure. I was at Ross. I got it at Ross. I found Guitar
He
Hero
hates
Live.
Ross, so we
I
just
hate
tell
Ross.
him.
I don't want to go there, but I found something. I found Guitar Hero Live Starter Kit, which has the guitar and the game for $5, and I got
And
it.
I'm better than William.
Nice.
If you say so. Damn.
I'm pretty good at the Guitar Hero at the arcade.
Do you know what the live one is?
Fun.
It's the one that's actually filmed with the camera and has a live
Yeah, it's
audience in
funny.
front of you. And when you do bad, it cuts to them like there's a good reaction and a bad reaction. The other people around you will be like, "Come on, what's wrong with you?" And then people in the crowd will be like holding the signs, "You suck," if you're like doing poorly. And then
Was this
also
for
like
PlayStation 3 or 4?
Wii.
part of the reason why it was so cheap was for Wii U.
Oh,
They probably bought it and said, "What is this? I don't have a Wii U," and then they returned it.
Either that or it's the guitar where that has like the 3 but double like
This version of Guitar Hero, the new Guitar Hero Live, it has, instead of 4 buttons, you know how they get to the hard difficulty, they have you use the 4th button. It's 3 and 3. So
is that
it's
what
6.
I said?
Yeah, I'm just trying to describe it in how I understand it. So it's 3 on the bottom and 3 on the top, and the guitar pick points bottom top. So it's interesting. Ellie did better than I did. Apparently, she's better than me.
I remember when Guitar Hero had 5 buttons. That made it really hard.
I had 4.
No, it had 5.
Did you ever play Rock Band?
No, it had 5. Stop.
4.
I played a lot. It was 5.
I did 2.
So there's a green, red, yellow, orange, and blue.
I remember only 4.
Maybe we remember wrong, and that's when it got really difficult. Was when it was
Did
5.
you ever play Rock Band?
Yeah, I played Rock Band too.
The drums were
the Rock Band was
fun.
dumb as hell because when I played Rock Band, I would get pissed off because
No, he's right. 5.
There's 5?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess I...
What was wrong with Rock
doesn't
Band?
seem difficult at all because I played with all of them.
because you made me play with 4 all the time.
No, I always play it on hard.
Yeah, hard is
Hard is
bullshit.
like...
Hey,
Yeah,
uses
5
all
is
the
when it got
buttons.
crazy.
Hard was probably medium for you.
It was always 5 because I remember
Shut
you
up,
always
Sohail. We're going to challenge this one. Arcade tomorrow.
Hey, what was wrong with Rock Band? Why did you get pissed?
Oh, I just didn't like Rock Band because every time I would play it, I would get pissed off because my guitar wasn't as... I didn't like the guitar as much as the Guitar Hero one. It was so simple.
Yeah,
Rock Band was so heavy.
The later generations of it were a lot better.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely the first ones felt so crappy compared to the guitars.
And plus they
Guitar Hero.
they were buttons, but they weren't. They're like trying to be.
They
inline.
felt worse.
They're like inline, and the little strumming thing was like trying to be real. I'm like, I don't need this. Just make it like a little clicky thing.
Yeah, the clicking thing was nice.
It was nice.
But $5, so pretty good deal.
Yeah, I just looked.
I was happy with it.
It's 3 and 3 right on top of each other. It's so weird.
Yeah, it took some getting used to. It was really weird.
Ooh.
I played Guitar Hero and Rock Band on hard.
Me too.
You mean medium?
Shut
'Cause you never
up!
went
It's
to the
not
5th button.
medium. He's so mean.
That's why you don't remember the 5th button because you want to play it on medium. Oh, I don't use that button.
I remember my pinky would hurt a lot. My pinky's not strong, and I had to use it.
I get confused because my fingers would go down, and then I would forget to go back up.
I made that
For
mistake.
this one that you have, yeah, the one that you have is...
My brother was pretty good.
The one that he has, the one that has double in the top and bottom, there's some that you have to do one in the top, one in the bottom. So
And
you have to use, like,
sometimes the ones you hold both at once. And sometimes they'll have, hold one on
Like
the
a
bottom, one on the
fret.
top. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Probably closer to playing a real guitar.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I liked it. It was good $5.
My brother plays Guitar Hero really well. Well, back when he was playing all the time. You know that Dragon song?
Yes.
He used to be able to play that on hard.
Are you serious?
And he used to be able to play
it's
without
already
strumming.
hard to play it on medium on that.
No, he
that
played it
one.
on hard, and he would just, at one point, he would stop strumming. He would just do the buttons.
That's what you have to do to
So he would
even
like
get
not.
that.
He's like, I was like, how you doing that? He's like, I don't know. I'm just freaking good at it. Well, you
Yeah, no,
son
I
of a
would
bitch.
see YouTube videos of trying to see how can you even play that song. They're literally just going like up and down, not even strumming anymore. So I'm like,
The only thing
wow.
why Rock Band was cool is because of the singer. That's the only part I liked. Because there was a
The
singer
drums.
involved.
The drums were fun.
The drums are the worst.
The vocals were really fun, yeah. This Guitar Hero Live has mic too.
You know why I didn't like the drums? Because people wouldn't fucking play the drums. It was smack shit with the sticks. And the break, just
What the hell were you playing with?
special people like you.
I never played with you, and my drums were never broken.
Where's your drums at? Bring them out. Let's play them.
I have them now. They're gone. We got rid of them.
Why?
It was like a long time
Yeah,
ago.
why
Because
don't you
they're
have
broken.
Because you destroyed them.
No, I gave them to my sisters, and then they destroyed it.
Oh, sisters.
I think. I don't know.
Anyways, is that all you did?
Yep.
All right, let's go with Justin, our guest today. What did you do?
I
Anything
hung
cool,
out
exciting?
at CES.
No,
So-
That's
that is
really
pretty
cool.
Yeah, that took
I
up
mean,
your
that's
whole
not a
week.
big deal or anything, but yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. I wanted to get to see the automated vehicle. They were coming out with a new automated taxi cab. Didn't get to see that though.
Was the Pizza Hut there?
That's pretty cool.
Was Pizza Hut there?
I did not see Pizza Hut.
I wasn't. I was just wondering if you saw it. I don't know. Okay.
Did you see the Lotte booth?
No, what's Lotte?
It's my company.
Oh, really?
Did you know they released a no driver taxi in Vegas, and
I
it
honestly
crashed
don't know
like
what
2 hours later?
Yeah, the
I
lift.
don't know what. Like,
I don't know
tried
what
to
it
get
was.
on that lift, but Pence came in and
And somebody
ruined my
ruined
life.
it, and they just slammed into the building. I was like, wow.
That's hilarious.
2 hours in, you're like, that's really bad.
That's hilarious.
Huh?
Yeah, I missed that.
Samsung did.
But yeah,
They probably
What
were
else
with
did you see?
Samsung.
What are the things you really liked there?
Helping with the TV.
my booth was amazing.
There you go.
I had to work a lot of it. There's a couple cool robots, but nothing like game changing, at least in my hall. I mean, there were some massage chairs that were pretty amazing, but yeah, just robotics, same old, like the dog, right? There's not a ton of new technology that's coming out. It's just gradually. AI is getting pretty sophisticated.
Yeah.
I didn't get to try out any of the new VR.
Yeah,
the
VR
new
was big
and
this
the
year
AR
too. Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So
That new Vive headset was announced. That's pretty cool.
They had a lot of
I
AR
didn't get to
items too.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Augmented reality. I
Yeah.
don't know how. I know it's taking off, but I don't know if it's like taking off with the general public. I know there's like a certain sector of people that like it.
Hey, my brother-in-law's company, I don't know where they're getting all this money, but they're growing and growing and growing and growing.
Well,
go
ahead.
I've seen some really cool AR technology coming out,
Mm-hmm.
but there's no practical use for it yet.
Right.
I don't think it's to that point yet that it's advanced for the general public.
Yeah, but a lot of people look at like Oculus Rift and Vive only together selling 1 million, and PlayStation VR only selling 2 million so far.
Yeah.
But like, how much did Atari, the first generation of Atari, or the ping pong things? It's like new technology, so we got to develop it. I mean, it failed back when we first started it. That's because you had to have like a whole TV on your head,
right?
And it looked terrible. But now it's like we're gonna get there really quick.
Yeah, and that's VR, right? The Oculus and
that's VR.
Yeah.
AR is actually like the Microsoft one is looking really cool.
Yeah,
right.
I saw a demo of it. It looks really cool.
I know that my, as I said before, maybe a couple episodes ago, my uncle is it's my cousin, second cousin, is a hedge fund manager in New York or Boston or wherever he's at.
right.
And he tells me all these like companies, like these small companies, are just getting shitloads of cash from basically unknown sources that want to fund the project, and they're coming from like China, India, wherever it is. And he said there's like going to be a fall. He just doesn't know when. He just keeps telling us that. I'm like, I don't care. If it happens, it happens. But he keeps saying about that small companies that are going to drop.
Oh yeah, a lot of small companies are going to drop.
Yeah,
a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money, but there's going to be a victor coming out. And I think it's all helping the technology to advance.
Yeah, VR is cool. It's just that a certain sector of people like it, and a lot of the group. I don't know. I don't think my mom and dad ever want to touch it. My dad played VR with me one time. He's like, I hate this. It hurts my head. I don't like it.
Yeah,
take it off. And then my mom, she's like, didn't care for it. So like a certain age group doesn't care for it. Certain age group really cares for it. Kids love it. I know that for a fact because it's like it's all interactive.
Right.
But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Hey, I think this is a loop. It is a loop. I think they have like 6 transitions of him.
He does different stuff.
I know, but they probably have like little things here and there that they added in because he just did this stupid move with his leg again. See,
there it is.
There it is. It was right there.
Yeah. As a loop.
What?
We just
I
saw
can't
it.
believe
Go
William
back.
didn't notice this.
Go back.
saw
Go
it.
back like 2 seconds. Go back to when he transitioned. That's not a natural human movement. Okay,
Where?
here.
Watch.
You're right. That's a cut.
Who does that?
That was a. You can see the fade in the crossfade.
But it's funny when we were talking, he's just kind of sitting there staring towards you. It's like he's listening in.
I told you, I was like, "There's no way."
Like he's looking at you right now.
There was
He's
like,
oh, really?
Because
You
they
think
said
that's what
he
I
did
do?
this. To see the transition he had, the only reason I noticed is that that fart transition where his legs are spread apart.
Because you made that note. Yeah.
He did that. He moved to it, and it was like really weird. And then he did this same thing. Anyway, I sent you a link of something that I want you to show.
Yeah, I know he wouldn't be sitting there for 8 hours.
I can't
Bullshit.
connect it. It's a different thing up there.
Oh, is it? Okay. Sorry, then don't show it.
What was the link for?
It's a thing. If you type in Pizza Hut toaster,
Okay.
Pizza Hut driving toaster.
Actually, I think I can
Pizza
do it. I did
Hut.
show notes.
Pizza Hut basically announced they're going to have a vehicle. I just wanted to talk about this real quick because I thought it was hilarious. So Pizza Hut announced they're going to have a toaster, a car that's going to deliver your pizza. And what they're going to do is an exciting for our toy CES 2018. And it said, imagine ordering a pizza high as F and an effing toaster pulled up to your house. So it looks like a toaster, right? So that was that was what made it laugh. I don't see why Pizza Hut's pushing for this. It's kind of weird, but that's just me.
Toaster pulled up to your house.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean, it's ingenious, right? Like if it's like the autonomous Ubers.
Right.
Like when the autonomous Ubers happen, you don't need any use for a car.
So the thing is, there's like a company that makes pizza now. There's like a pizza place now that they do this kind of idea, and then they said that it helps them a lot because they don't have to pay for a driver, and the driver turns into a pizza guy.
So question, how does the pizza get to your door?
It says your pizza's arrived. You have to go outside and get it.
That's fucked up.
Why?
What if
'Cause
you're
you
not
were-
ready?
What do you mean not ready?
Why is
Like
that
you
messed
were
up?
like preparing.
It's not like you have to impress anybody. It's automated.
First of all,
Why don't you just put the ingredients in there and the whole thing makes your pizza
Right.
to order and it pulls
My
up
thing
within
is-
minutes to your house?
So like a vending
Pull right
machine,
out of the-
drive-through
Yeah.
pizza maker.
here's the biggest
You just
problem.
stop
No
by,
employees,
refill
no
the-
stores,
yeah.
no nothing.
Yeah, why not have a section just as an oven?
Little
You just-
Caesar could get away with that.
So you can
Little
load it.
Caesars.
Hot and ready.
Yeah. What you do is you load the top up with cheese, pepperoni, cheese,
Right.
pepperoni, cheese, and it just starts baking the pizzas that you want for the first like hour of its trip, and then it comes back and it reloads. But the thing is, if you're embarrassed enough to think you're not ready to walk outside to go get your pizza, you have the wrong priorities. You order pizza first of all.
If you can't
This
go
giant-ass
outside
pizza.
to get it, how can you stand at your doorway and see a person
What
face to
if you
face?
just have fallen and
One
you
time,
can't get up?
hey, listen. One time I ordered round table and I came outside of my house and I was in my underwear. I really didn't care.
God damn.
Why not have drone delivery then? If
Yeah,
right to your door.
drop the pizza on your head.
Well, there's a lot
Or
of
like
problems
in
with
This is
that.
the
Sims?
oven. Pulls it out of the oven. A little drone pops out from the side.
There you go.
Just delivers it.
What happens if that thing
smashes into your door? You're like, what the fuck was
What
that?
happens if that thing is a side
Drops
of
all
a-
your pizza.
You know that mouse thing from Star Wars? That little the thing.
Yeah. What about it?
What happens if that size? And it just barely carries a pizza. That's the size it is, and it just there's like hundreds of them in the city.
Dude, if anything, they'll probably make a robot that will just walk out. Looks like it's some dude named Johnny and just like holds his
They
pizzas in your hands.
They'd only.
Here
It's
you
really
go.
that
So-
thing's really small. They only get away with that if it's like a hydrated pizza, like Back to the Future. 2.
Maybe.
I saw something like this at CES, but it was fruit. They would actually grow the fruit, and the fruit would drive up to your door,
And
and you
drop
go
it.
out and pick your fruit. And
Interesting.
That's
What the hell?
concept.
But
Yeah.
like, how fast can you grow fruit? I mean, once it's out of grapes, it's out of grapes.
I mean,
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like you have to restock that grape.
it has to be massive. I don't know. I don't know the details.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, got to stock that
Fresh-
grape plant back
fresh
up.
Well, it probably has sensors to empty
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
right? When it's empty.
I've seen it at Disney World. They had like a little thing where they
fruit
were
bear?
growing. Yeah, no, they're growing like a greenhouse, and inside of it they had like all these plants that they're growing. They're like, we made them larger than they're supposed to be because
At
we
Epcot?
can here. Yeah, at Epcot, and you could do that on a car, but it would have to be massive, and there would have to be dirt in it and all this other stuff.
Right.
In the future, that'd be a cool concept, though. Just have this cart once it's depleted,
Yo,
it goes parks.
why even have a
and
milkman?
replenishes,
Don't
and
they
then a different cart
have
comes out.
plants growing without water? I mean,
Yeah,
without soil?
hydroponics. Oh yeah,
Without
hydroponics.
soil, yeah.
Yeah. You know what you could do
Soil.
that's really good? Why even have a milkman? Just have a fucking cow grow up your house. and it's,
Right from the soil.
They-
and
Milk-
it's teat,
milk it right
and
from
it's
that teat.
And it's teat. Pull out the side of the car and just pull it, and then here's your milk. Hot and fresh, hot and ready.
But if you can grow meat in a petri dish, why don't you just grow milk in a petri dish?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, but
So
Tommy,
you don't
have you
need a
ever
cow
received
anymore.
picca in your underwear?
No.
That's weird, huh? Well, what did you do
it's
this
weird.
week?
Well, I wear boxers though.
This week,
Not that weird.
this week I continued to watch Dragon Ball Z Super. I've been watching the Grand Tour on Amazon Prime. Been watching Vikings. I saw the Toys That Make Us episode 1. I played Mario Kart and Overcooked. I also played 1 minute of Mario Odyssey.
1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute of it.
Why would you even note that?
I'm just noting it. I played
Pick
for
it
1
up,
minute.
put it back down. Hate
Why
this.
did you?
You powered
No, I
on.
didn't hate it. I had because I was waiting for them to show up to
Oh, I
play.
forgot
and
to
so I
charge
just
this.
what?
You powered it up, and then
I
you
thought you were
turned
saying
it
you were waiting for your pizza and it came.
off. And then it's changed.
And then I played a little bit of poker, and then I went to a hockey game for the
Kind
first
of
time.
hockey game.
Without me.
Yeah, it was me, Soil, and William,
I know.
And my
I
wife.
know very
and
well.
his wife, Allie.
Not.
Hey.
No, I'm not.
Not Ellie,
No.
Allie. You're not his wife.
I know. I'm just saying. It sounded like Ellie, but it's not. Ellie wasn't.
We saw the
invited.
Kings and the Ducks, and the Ducks won.
Bob
cool.
went
Cool.
by away
Go
forever.
Anyways, I didn't do anything. Was that it?
So, but you know, one of the things that happened in that game that was really interesting. a player that had a 7-year streak of playing games, every game, not missing one game, because he got in a fight in that one game, has been ejected for his next game.
What?
So he's missed. He's like 200-something game streak.
There's so many fights that game, and they just started. All of a sudden, everybody's gloves coming off. Gloves coming off. I was like, "What the hell?" It's like 3 fights in a row.
It's good.
Is that normal?
Yeah.
I don't think that's normal.
Literally, the fight
Not in
started.
the pros anymore.
Fight started. They broke it up. As they were doing the face-off again, fight started, and then it'd stop, and then it would say penalty. Set it for a face-off again. Fight started. I was like, "Oh my god, this is the best thing I've ever seen."
It was hilarious for sure.
Tommy was chomping on like a 1-foot hot dog, and he was just like, could not stop. He was having a great time.
Oh my gosh. Did you do anything else, Tommy?
That's all I did.
Oh, cool.
What'd you do, Ellie?
Not much. I played Mario Odyssey for more than a minute. I'm collecting the stars or the moons and Guitar Hero, and that's it. I didn't do anything interesting.
Yeah, dog. Oh.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
He had 667 games straight.
You want me to do it?
Snapped.
all because of a little glove coming off.
You do intro and outro.
Okay. Well, that wraps up the podcast this week. Join us next week for more discussions and opinions of things that pique our interest. If you have any confessions you would like for us to discuss, feel free to send it our way. As always, we want to thank all of our listeners and followers for tuning in and supporting us. Share us, like us, review us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, whatever you want to do. Every bit of it helps us grow. And don't forget, you can always find our previous episodes and bonus content on our website, nerdconfessions.net. This is Nerd Confessions, signing off. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
What should we cover next week? I don't even know. We didn't even talk about it. Everybody's drawing a blank.
We should do that one movie. It's the end of the effing world on Amazon or on Netflix.
It's the end of the effing world.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Is that even?
It's like some kid who's like kind of psychopath, and then like he meets this girl who's more of a psychopath than he is, and he's like doesn't know what to do. I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
It sounds
Think about
cute.
it.
You might like it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Remember, buy your toys and keep them in their packages if you're weird. Toys are for fun.
Oh, yeah.